I love you, Cleveland, and I love you, Ohio, and a very pleasant welcome to this week's version of Bonus Time with Drennan here on the Big Play Sports Network. Great to have you with us. I'm back in the studio. It's wonderful to be back in Cleveland at our beautiful studios here in downtown Cleveland at Burke Lakefront Airport. I said to my wife when we were driving back from Florida, I said it was glorious. It was wonderful. It's always great to come home, but watch, we'll come home to a blizzard. Now, I don't know if I would categorize this as a blizzard, but I certainly am not used to this kind of weather that I have been exposed to these last few months, Ryan. Ryan is my producer, of course, and great to see you in person.
Yes, Bruce.
For a change.
It's been quite a while, a few months at that. I'm sad for you that the weather didn't cooperate. You didn't bring the sunshine with you in Florida. I thought you were going to. Too much in your luggage? You couldn't sneak it in there?
Well, nobody's shedding any tears for me, and I don't expect anyone to, because I thank God that I'm able to do this at this portion of my life. But I have paid my dues, you know.
I believe it. I believe
Remember, I have the record for being fired more than any other broadcaster in the history of Cleveland broadcasting, radio and TV. Nobody's come close. And there's still a possibility being adding to that list, you know.
Well, I certainly hope not.
But in the meantime, we are back in the studio, and I'm glad to be home, and the weather will be breaking for all of us very shortly. It is officially spring, is it not, Ryan?
It is. I believe today is the first full official day of spring, although if you look outside, you would not be able to tell.
That's all right. That's all right. And as I look outside, maybe a topic that we can talk about is this new stadium that I've been hearing about. And will that be here? Will it be in Brook Park? That's down the line. We are going to feature my pal Matt Fontana here in just a bit. We have an array of topics to cover today. Obviously, the NCAA tournament is already underway with those play-in games last night, a couple more tonight. And in earnest, the tournament will get underway tomorrow. So we'll all be glued to our sets. Those are us that can do so all day, all night, over the weekend. These first two rounds, of course, are going to be interesting. There'll be upsets, where there always is, but we're going to talk about that. And also a little bit on the Browns, a little bit of news on the Browns since we were with you last week and I was still down in Florida. Also with Matt, I want to touch upon the Cavaliers and the Guardians. Baseball season is upon us. As a matter of fact, Ryan, do we have a final on the first game of the season? The Dodgers and the Padres opened up the season today in Seoul, South Korea. And Park, I think, threw out the first pitch, the former Ranger, and it was a very, and I think the Padres were winning. I think Bogarts got a clutch RBI single to give them the lead before I left home and came downtown to our studios to do the show today. I think they were leading the game. I don't know since then. Do we have an update on that, Ryan?
We do, Bruce. The Padres did get on the board first in the bottom of the third. However, the Dodgers did pull it out as they rallied. They won 5-2.
5-2. So that was it for the Padres. That was Darvish starting against Glasnow. So quite an opening. And I believe Yamamoto will go tomorrow against Musgrove for San Diego in Game 2 as Manfred has this glorified idea that he's going international since the NFL has had so much success in London. And so we'll see how that goes. But it's a home game today for one team and a home game tomorrow for the other, so to even it out. Well, it gives me great delight to welcome Matt Fontana, the host of the Matt Fontana Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Matt and I now go back quite a few years in broadcasting. We hosted a show together on local radio, and here we find ourselves winding up on the Big Play Sports Network. Matt, good to have you with us, my friend.
I'm so happy to be here, Bruce. I hope to not join the list that you were talking about earlier, but I got one on you for you on that. The other thing I wanted to ask you about talking about the baseball game this morning, there was a big turn in the game. The first baseman, the ball went through his mitt. It broke his mitt, and the big debate this morning, should that be an error? I know you are a baseball purist. It's your favorite thing, but they don't charge an outfielder an error when they lose it in the sun, or if it's a bad hop on the infield, they don't charge it. They think it's a little crazy that the first baseman was going to catch a line drive. It broke his mitt and went straight through.
It was a line drive, or was it a ground?
It was a line drive. So it would have been an out, so they charged that an error because the play was not made.
They did charge an error.
It's a big debate this morning on the people if that should be an error or if that should just be a broken base hit. I don't know
if we differentiate between if that was a ground ball in a liner like you say or not. I would think a grounder should be considered an error. I mean, and isn't it not the responsibility of that fielder to check out his equipment before he takes the field?
I'll listen to it. I understand where you're coming from. So, yeah, they did charge him with an error. So it sounds like you're on board with that.
It didn't turn out to be an unearned run, I hope.
I don't know because I think that kind of because I think Ohtani messed up on the bases and then they got him out after that inning anyway. So I don't know if it actually led to runs or not.
Ohtani, oh my God, the Dodgers, Ohtani, and by the way, in the third segment after Matt departs, I'm going to predict as I've been going through all the divisions here on the show from week to week to week. Today I'm going to look at the second toughest division in all of baseball. There can be no argument, the National League East. Last week we covered the toughest division in all of baseball, the American League East. Well, today we'll cover the second toughest division. And then next week we'll conclude before the start of the regular season with our division, which is the weakest division in all of Major League Baseball. But, Matt, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I want to start with March Madness and the NCAA basketball tournament. But before I do, I have a pet peeve when it comes to college basketball. When I was your age and younger, Matt, I was the biggest college basketball fan. I adored college basketball. I talked about it on the air, off the air, watched as many games as I possibly could. I felt guilty if I missed games when I was on the air the next day. I felt guilty if I didn't see a college game the night before. Now, I couldn't care less about the regular season. Now I'm into the tournament, but here's why. Postseason conference tournaments have ruined the regular season of college basketball. Because what's the meaning of the regular season round robin? It used to determine who gets the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. Winning your conference was a big thing, and especially before they expanded the tournament from 16 teams. The only way you'd get in when it was only 16 teams is to win your conference. And then there would be at-large bursts after the major conferences were determined. And even some of the minors got in, like a Wichita State made their mark back in the old 16-team format. But because of these postseason conference tournaments, in my opinion, the regular season has been tarnished greatly. What does it mean? And what do these postseason conference tournaments mean? Matt, before I bring you in on this, UConn this week, going into the NCAA tournament, is ranked number 1 in the country. They won the Big East. Okay. Postseason conference tournament I'm talking about. Let's just concentrate on the postseason conference tournaments. Houston, 1 and 2 and 3 all season long, has been a fantastic team, and they lose the Big 12 to Iowa State. Oh, not by a point or two, not in overtime. They get beat 69-41. Now, does that damage them? Of course not. They're a number 1 seed. They're the number 1 seed in the South. So what was the meaning of that postseason conference tournament? Purdue loses to Wisconsin in the Big Ten. What does that mean? Nothing. They're still a number 1 seed. North Carolina loses to NC State, and North Carolina is still a number 1 seed. Tennessee goes down, SEC. They lose to Mississippi State. They're still a number 2 seed. I can go on and on and on. And these teams that win, I mean, what does it mean? And here's another point. it deprives teams that are more deserving to get in if a team has a miraculous finish and wins a postseason. Doesn't happen so much in the big conferences, but definitely it will occur in the horizons of the world. Matt, your take.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you look at it, Bruce, you might not actually want to win your conference. That's extra games that you got to play, and somebody could get hurt. That's extra minutes. So if you bow out like Purdue did, not even in the championship, then you're like, all right, we get to sit down and sit at home, and we're still going to be a number 1 seed. I agree. I think it's gotten a little out of hand. I think the tournament being
It's for money. We all know it's because of money.
And the
They're not going
bloatedness.
away.
No, and the play-in games that I don't really think matter very much. It's just, it is all about the extra games. And yeah, it's almost like set in stone that they knew that these teams were going to be the number 1 seeds. And at the end of the